Jim Edwards here in Las Vegas, Nevada for UFC 202, Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, the rematch. I'm here with my colleague, Mr. Matthew Wells of MMALatestNews.com, and also Jose Youngs of Fansided MMA and Flow Combat. Gentlemen, we have just been at literally the most craziest weigh-ins I think I've ever been to here in Las Vegas. Matt, what did you make of that? The Irish have descended on Las Vegas for UFC 202, haven't they?
They have, and we had questions about where they're going to show up. You know, that was a theme coming into this week. Did it sell enough? Are the Irish fans going to travel again to Vegas? We are here for Conor McGregor versus Chad Mendes in the MGM Grand Garden Arena. The weigh-ins for that were packed, an incredible atmosphere. Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor, once again in the same spot, filled the whole arena almost. But this today had a special feel for it. I don't know if it was the more intimate setting in the smaller room, but the intensity was there, the crowds were loud, the Irish fans were going nuts. Man, this fight, it's ready. It's ready for the Nate Diaz supporters, the Conor McGregor supporters. It's going to be an absolute war come tomorrow night.
The fight's on, isn't it, Jose? What did you make of that atmosphere that we got today in the room?
Yeah, like Matt said, one of the stories coming into this were the Irish fans going to be able to make the trip, because a lot of them flew out in July for UFC 200 when they bought tickets before Conor got pulled, and they still flew out because they couldn't get refunds. Obviously, 1 month later, they're not going to be able to shell out that much money to come back. But what I will say is this was in a much smaller venue than like Matt said, the MGM Grand had the weigh-ins for UFC 194 and UFC 196 and UFC 189, and this is at the Marquee Theater. It's a smaller, more personal space. Like the sound echoes. Like everybody is based. The fans were literally on top of the media, and they were shooting UFC Tonight right there in the ballroom. So I don't know if there definitely weren't as many people. But those Irish people were just as loud. A lot of them we noticed were students that came into Las Vegas, so they were rowdy. But the smaller venue, maybe the UFC planned for, so if they did, fair play to them. But it was definitely one of the more wilder weigh-ins, and they were still there a good while after the weigh-ins were even over.
Matt, that wasn't one of the, it was a great atmosphere today, but it all really kicked off on a Wednesday, didn't it? With that crazy, hashtag Bottlegate, as I call it. How do you feel that kind of atmosphere between McGregor and Diaz has built up this week? It really did kick off back on Wednesday, didn't it?
Man, it escalated to a whole nother level. The whole water bottle incident. I mean, even just at that same press conference, we were all sitting there. We're like, okay, this is a basic routine, ho-hum press conference. And then all of a sudden, Conor McGregor shows up late. He answers a few questions. Nate Diaz, like, you know what, I'm done. Gets up. And then everybody knows what happens from there. The scene and everything escalated. All of a sudden, everybody's interested in this fight again. It's all over the media. It's all over any channels, any sports channel that you turn on. Everybody's talking about Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz. And that's what the UFC needed. I don't know if they needed it in that manner, per se, because there's rumors of lawsuits going around that may be handed out. So obviously they don't want that type of attention. But listen, people are excited about this fight now, and I think it's going to do incredible numbers once it's all said and done.
For sure. And Jose, what do you make of the mental warfare that's gone on between McGregor and Diaz this week? Who do you think has the upper hand? I personally think McGregor, he's looked a little rattled. He looks a bit more emotional than he has done in some of his previous fights.
Yeah, it's weird because going into this, everyone says McGregor, like even if you watch Bad Blood, one of the things they talked about is he would talk so much trash to his opponents that they would basically lose the fight before they even enter the octagon. I mean, there's that famous clip of Dustin Poirier walking through the MGM Grand days before his fight, and he's saying, I haven't hated a person this much in my entire life. Jose Aldo goes on the world tour and is basically like having a mental breakdown being near Conor McGregor the whole time. Chad Mendes had to take the fight on short notice, and then the stage ever, and even before that they had all the sound bites of McGregor calling out Mendes. This is the first time I can remember that Conor is losing the battle of words, the mind game. And the last time they didn't get a chance to do this because Nate took the fight on 11 days notice, they only had 1 or 2 press conferences, and Conor was coming off that high of the 14-second knockout, so he felt invincible. Nate humbled him, and this is the first UFC fight Conor's coming off a loss. He's rematching him right away, and Nate Diaz is probably the best trash talker because he keeps it so real and won't back down. So this is the first fight I have ever seen where Conor is losing the mental warfare.
So lads, the press conferences are done, the weigh-ins are done, the stare downs are also done. All that's left is a fight. Matt, who wins tomorrow night?
Man, you're putting me on the spot here. I still think that Nate Diaz, is going to come away victorious. I said coming into the week that I thought Conor would come in with a better game plan this time around. He was going to, stay at distance, pick his shots a little bit better. But after everything that happened from that press conference, I think he's so emotional now, and I think he's going to go in there and try to knock his head off again, which is playing exactly into what Nate Diaz wants to happen, because he can outlast Conor McGregor. He can eat his shots better than featherweights can. So I think that Nate Diaz really got in his head this week, and that's going to drastically change what's going to happen tomorrow night.
So we've got Nate Diaz from Matt. So Jose, I want you to make a case for Conor McGregor now.
Okay. So Conor obviously, like we said before, he took the fight. Like Nate Diaz took the fight on 10, 11 days notice, but Conor also took the fight against Nate Diaz on a 10, 11 days notice. He was training for a lightweight, a small, stocky lightweight, changed it up. Now he has a tall, lanky southpaw who walks around at like a $175, cuts 5 pounds, and is in a triathlete. So Conor came in, thought he was invincible, quickly got humbled when he landed his vaunted left hand, and Nate took it. He knows the exact mistakes he made. He said, I gassed out. I was too into the moment. I said first round KO going into the first fight, and that's what I tried to do. This fight, there's more structure. Like he said, he would wake up whenever he wanted. He'd train whatever he wanted. He'd do whatever he wanted during training camp. He's flown in tall, lanky southpaws. He's training with high-level grapplers. He's cleaned his diet up. Like he said, he would just eat whatever he wanted because he was going to make weight. And like we saw at the weigh-ins in March, he looked very bloated the first fight. This one, he might be the same weight, but he is definitely in better shape. So Conor McGregor with a full camp, like everyone keeps saying Nate Diaz full camp, Conor has a full camp too. Let's not forget that. Actually training, actually structured. If Conor does win, I think it'll be by decision or in the later rounds. But yeah, that is the case for Conor McGregor. It is not impossible, and Nate Diaz is not a gimme fight.
So there you have it, everyone. All we have to look forward to now is, of course, the fight tomorrow night at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been Jim Edwards, he's been Matt Wells, and he's been Jose Youngs. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later.